Hello, welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. I'm your host, Bubbs. Today we have another New York Jets player preview episode for you today. This is the 10th installment of the New York Jets 2024 player previews. Today we will take a look at two more players, one on offense and the other coming on defense. We will take a look at Alijah Vera-Tucker, New York Jets guard, and safety Ashtyn on the defensive side of the football. Now, before we begin, let me quickly tell you about our podcast partners, starting with our friends over at SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an app that delivers tickets from all over the internet and puts it into one spot to make it easier for you, the buyer. What makes SeatGeek so great is they rate each ticket on a scale from 1 to 10, so you know what type of deal you are getting. Look for the green dots. The green dots are good. Yellow are not so good. The red means stay away. So you know you're getting a good deal on the ticket that you are looking at, and you know that you can find the good deals on the tickets that you are looking at. Preseason's here. There are many great tickets to get for a preseason game. Whether you're a Jet fan, whether you're a Giant fan, or maybe you're not even either of those team fans and you want to head out to your favorite team's preseason game. But it's not just preseason. It's not just football. It's not just sports. Anything. Plays, shows, concerts. If you can buy a ticket for an event, SeatGeek has it. Plus, my viewers, use promo code BUBSONSPORTS for $20 off your purchase. Click the link in the description down below. That'll take you to the SeatGeek app, or take you to download the SeatGeek app. And again, at checkout, promo code BUBSONSPORTS for $20 off your purchase. Also, my friends over at Huga House, you see me wear my Huga House hat all the time on the podcast. If you want the hat that I wear all the time, or any of the hats Aaron Rodgers wears, Shane Gillis, Shohei Ohtani, Tyler Conklin, so many rock the Huga House vintage inspired hats. Click the Huga House link in the description down below and use promo code BUBS for 15% off any purchase at Huga House. Get yourself some swag. And again, that is promo code BUBS for 15% off. All right, now let's get into today's episode, the 10th installment of the New York Jets player previews. And we will start with Alijah Vera-Tucker, who enters his fourth season in the NFL and his fourth season with the New York Jets. So AVT, 6'5", 308 pounds, 25 years old, turned 25 in June. So this is all in his his age 25 season. He was a 2021 first-round pick, 14th overall out of USC, was selected 12 picks after Zach Wilson, and has turned out to be an interesting selection for the Jets because he's been very, very successful when he's on the field, but the biggest problem has been his injuries. That's the biggest thing, and we'll break that down here to start. Now, just some news on him. The Jets did pick up their fifth-year option on AVT, which was about $15 million he will earn next season, and then he'll hit the open market after that. So it's crazy he's already entering year 4. It's been a very interesting tenure for AVT since he was the first-round pick in 2021 out of USC. But all we know about AVT is when he's out there, he is a legit threat and a legit dominating offensive lineman to opposing defenses when he's healthy. And that's been the biggest thing. And we'll get right to the health right away before we get to what he can do when he's on the field. So in his rookie season, 2021, he played 16 of a possible 17 games, played well, looked good, looked like a promising cornerstone young piece to what was a majority of a 2021 Jet team that was kind of just entering the new Robert Saleh era, rebuild era. And it looked really, really good for AVT after his 2021 campaign. It's crazy. The 2021 campaign for AVT it feels so far away. It feels so far gone than what it actually was because of what he's gone through the last 2 seasons, appearing in just 12 games. So he parted 16 to 17 games in 2021, was good, didn't deal with much injuries, was healthy, all that good stuff. Played well, all good. Then you go to 2022, and he has a triceps tear that he suffers in Week 7, Game 7, on the road against the Broncos. It was also the same game that Breece Hall tore his ACL. So the New York Jets kind of walked out of that game, if you remember, feeling like they won the battle but lost the war. He missed the rest of the season. He finished that year playing in just 7 games. Comes back last season and is healthy, is ready to go. Plays very well the first couple weeks, one of the lone bright spots on what was a terrible New York Jets offensive line, and then tears his Achilles against the Broncos. Same stadium, same time of year, really, only 2 weeks earlier. Week 5, game 5 against the Broncos, tears his Achilles, misses the rest of the season. So overall, after what was a healthy 2021 rookie campaign for Alijah Vera-Tucker, the last 2 seasons combined, he has played in just 12 games, 7 in 2022, 5 last season. And in his career, he has played in 28 games in 3 seasons, which is just 9.3 games played per season. And he's played 28 games, and he has started at 4 different positions in just 28 games. So it has kind of been a crazy, crazy start to his Jet career, with the way things started healthy, dealing with the injuries. And then last year, all the moving parts in the offensive line, played pretty much everywhere the first 5 weeks of the season prior to his injury, has shown the ability his entirety of his career, his first 3 seasons in his 28 starts, to play pretty much anywhere. He's played every position except center. Left guard, left tackle, right tackle. He's played every position. And it's crazy to think some of the performances he's had at some of these positions, you can make the case that if he would have played these positions across an entire season, he could be an all-pro at almost 4 different positions. That's how talented and that's how good AVT has been when he's healthy. And that's the biggest issue, is health. Now, I think you go into the season, you've got to have belief, you've got to have confidence that he can stay healthy. Ideally, if you remember, Robert Saleh said last season how it feels like some of the versatility of AVT, while it is a great part of your game to be versatile up front, it could have caused some of those injuries. So you hope some of the injuries this year can be cut out when he's just going to be at right guard. He's going to just be at right guard this season. He's going to be alongside Morgan Moses. He's going to be alongside Joe Tippmann, 2 guys that you should have a lot of faith in if you're a Jets fan from just a pass, run blocking perspective on this revamped offensive line. So he's going to have help next to him, and he's going to play one position. Some of these injuries possibly could have been because of all the moving parts, moving positions. I don't know if that's actually true. I don't know if that's actually going to be the case, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Now, they are 2 freak injuries. This isn't like he's been dealing with a nagging hamstring injury or he's been dealing with the soft tissue stuff. He had a tricep tear and he tore his Achilles. Like, those are 2 major injuries. It's not like these are injuries where he misses time, but he doesn't miss the entire season. He just had 2 brutal season-ending injuries. I know some people don't want to call AVT injury prone just yet because the 2 injuries are kind of just freak injuries. It's not like every week he's questionable with a hamstring or a soft tissue injury. But then again, missing 2 straight years, essentially, after 7 games and 5 games, I think as a Jet fan, in order to kind of build full trust back in AVT that he can stay healthy, you need to see him this year at least play 14, 15 games. Because you have to look at the rest of the offensive line and you feel, okay, Tyron Smith's probably going to miss time. I believe Morgan Moses will play, but there are some people that believe Morgan Moses will miss time. Based on last year, the pec, he's getting older. Durability could be a concern here, but either way, AVT needs to stay healthy this year. Needs to stay healthy. And that's where I want to jump to next, just showing what this team is with AVT and without AVT. And it also shows you his real value. So in 2022 and 2023, AVT again played 12 games. In those 12 games, this is what the New York Jets did. They were 7-5. They averaged 21.2 points per game. And Breece Hall, the most important factor of all of this, had 6.08 yards per carry with AVT in 2022 and 2023 across the 12 games he played in those 2 seasons. Now, without AVT, in the 21 games that he missed, 22 games he missed, 7-15 record, 14.1 points per game. Breece Hall, significantly less yards per carry at 3.97. So the impact is so felt. His impact is so major on this New York Jets team. A well below 500 record when he's not out there. Breece Hall averages about almost 3 yards less per carry, 2 yards less per carry than when AVT is blocking in front of him. And they average essentially a touchdown less per game when AVT's not out there. 21.2 points per game. When he's out there, 14.1. Essentially, you calculate that up, that's about 7 points per game that they're missing a touchdown and a field goal that they're missing when AVT's not out there. That is a huge, huge, huge hole in your offense. And again, for this team, they've had offensive line concerns over the last 2 years. In just the 12 games that he's played, he's been the brightest spot. And he could play everywhere. And he could play everywhere at a very high level. And now this season, he's stuck in right at right guard. And if he could stay healthy, we've talked about this offensive line a ton. But AVT has all-pro potential. It's all about the health at this point. That's what it is. It's all about the health. You've got a Hall of Famer at left tackle. You've got a solid left guard in John Simpson, a solid veteran. You got Joe Tippmann, who is hopefully a rising blue chip player, a cornerstone piece on this offensive line. You've got ideally a cornerstone piece in AVT, and then you've got another veteran who's been around forever and is just a solid vet to have up front and in the locker room in Morgan Moses. But you look at this offensive line, and if you had to rank them, if Tyron Smith's playing his best, he's the best on this offensive line. But AVT would be right there behind him as the best player on this offensive line. That's how good he can be. Especially when you look at how much he has helped in the run game. You would like to see a little bit more protection, a little bit more production from a pass protection standpoint. And I think some of why his numbers from a pass protecting perspective are, I guess, less impressive than a run blocking perspective is because all the changing positions, your technique and all that stuff when you're going left guard, right guard, to left tackle, to right tackle, especially left tackle to right tackle, your technique from a pass protecting standpoint completely changed. And run blocking too, but you can make up a little bit more for run blocking than you can pass protection, especially when you're at left tackle. You don't have really much room for error from a pass protection standpoint. So you look at AVT, I think you'll see some of the pass protection numbers get better. And also, let's be honest here, AVT was moving around everywhere, number one. But number two, look at the guys that he has had to play alongside over the last 2 seasons. I mean, the corpse of, he had to fill in for, the corpse of Dwayne Brown and Mekhi Becton and all these guys that weren't any good. He's actually got legitimate pieces now alongside him. And that's huge. He's a beast when he's healthy. He's one of the best offensive linemen in football. He's one of the best young players in the league when he's healthy. And that's not saying that's not a surprise. That's not a bold take. That's true. He's that good. He's got to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. One quick note on the pass protection, 8.1% pressure rate since 2022 at guard. That's in the bottom among guards. It's not great. You hope, though, a full season, better talent around him, that gets better. Run blocking is amazing. He's phenomenal as a run blocker, has only gotten better, has only improved. And that's why you see the numbers without Breece, or with and without, in terms of Breece Hall, how much of an impact it makes on him as well. So that's AVT player preview number 1 today. Now we move on to the defensive side of the football, and we go over to Ashtyn Davis, the safety out of Cal. 6'1", 202 pounds, 27 years old. He will be 28 in October, so entering his age 27, 28 season. He was a 2020 third-round pick, 68th overall, of course, by the New York Jets and out of the University of California. He enters his 5th NFL season, has spent all 4 of his years in the Big Apple with the New York Jets, playing in 54 total games. And Ashtyn Davis is an interesting one. Now, this season, you got to give him credit, got to give Joe Douglas credit. He kept one of his own. Well, it looked like a disastrous 2020 draft class has turned out to be a little less disastrous with the re-signing of Ashtyn Davis, the retaining of their own after he hit the open market this offseason. But the New York Jets re-signed Ashtyn Davis this offseason to a 1-year, $2.74 million contract. So they will keep their ball hawk, their turnover specialist, is what I like to call him now after what he did last season on the team. And I'll be completely honest. I'm not going to lie. If I was the general manager of the New York Jets, and I've said this for a while now, I probably wouldn't have drafted Ashtyn Davis, number 1. But number 2, Ashtyn Davis probably would have been off this team at the very least before 2022. I wouldn't even have let him play out 2022. When you had Jason Pinnock and had pieces like that, I would have gotten rid of Ashtyn Davis, and I would have rolled with try to, roll with some of the younger guys and get rid of Ashtyn Davis, who showed you absolutely nothing in his first 2 years in the NFL. Showed you absolutely nothing. I would have gotten rid of him probably after 2022. And then after last year, 2022, or the year prior, 2022, he was okay, but I probably still would have gotten rid of him. And then he goes out there last season in 2023, and balls out, and he does really well. I mean, I am shocked that Ashtyn Davis is still a New York Jet. I really am. I am shocked that we are doing another player preview on Ashtyn Davis. I did not think this would be a guy that would be a long-term Jet and actually turn out to be a really nice draft pick for Joe Douglas, a nice find in the third round. Has he been great? No. But has he lived up to third round, day 2, depth safety potential? Last year he did 100%. He was excellent last season, and he earned that contract. And you've got to give credit to Ashtyn Davis. He's really turned not only his Jet career, but his NFL career around. This guy was kind of entering the territory of being a nobody at safety, really just turning into an athletic special teams guy, and that's about it. Which is not really what you want out of a third-round pick, but that's what it was kind of going into. And then last year, he took it over. He took over last season. We'll give you the numbers. Don't want to waste any time. 37 total tackles last season, 1 forced fumble, 3 fumble recoveries, 3 interceptions, 8 passes defended, 72.6 PFF grade, which is by far the best in his career. When you look at Ashtyn Davis's previous PFF grades, and I know PFF's not the end-all be-all, but in this case, it does prove you a lot because just the way how bad he was his first couple seasons. In 2020, he had a 53 PFF grade. 2021, he was 60.7. 2022, he was 50.3 again. Last year, 72.6. By far the best. Not only do the statistics, the eye test, they all match up. And he was a ball hawk. He was a turnover monster last season for this New York Jets team. If there was a ball on the ground, if there was a ball in the air, Ashtyn Davis was around it. He was a ball magnet. And the New York Jets need that on their defense because they aren't the best at forcing turnovers. They're just not. Not the best team at catching interceptions. They're not the best team at forcing interceptions. Ashtyn Davis, though, is one of the lone players on this defense that recovers fumbles, forces fumbles, has that kind of peanut punch where he punches it out, a specialty of his, and has the ability, if there's a ball in the air, he's going to be underneath it with a chance to haul it in. When you look at his turnover numbers last year, he had 1 forced fumble. He had 3 fumble recoveries. That led the team. And he had 3 interceptions. That was tied for second on the team. He also had 8 passes defended, which was second among all safeties, even better than Tony Adams. In total last season, he got his hands on the football from a turnover perspective, including the 1 forced fumble, 7 times. Plus the 8 passes defended. He touched the football 15 times as the defender last year. It's no joke. For a depth safety that primarily played in a special teams role in his first 3 seasons in the NFL, to take off last year, you've got to give a ton of credit to Ashtyn Davis. To go out in a contract year when all hope seemed lost at that point that this guy was nothing. Again, I would have gotten rid of him in 2022, before the 2022 campaign. And I would have turned it over to Jason Pinnock and guys like that. But either way, it doesn't matter at this point. That's an irrelevant argument. To go out there and dominate like he did, you got to give him a ton of credit. And you look at the snaps, right? 2020 and 2021, primarily, he did start a little bit over those 2 seasons. 16 games started over those 2 seasons. And then 2022, he played in 291 snaps. 278 of those came on special teams. So he was primarily special teams all of 2022, barely played. Went from 16 games as a starter and 23 games played in his first 2 seasons to demoted to special teams in 2022. Didn't make a ton of sense why they kept him. Was good on special teams, but still. They had Hardy and other guys like that. Either way, invalid argument. You go to last year, 217 defensive snaps in 17 games played. Played all 17, career year. 3 picks, career high. 3 fumble recoveries, career high. 8 passes defended, career high. 37 tackles, second most he's ever had in a season. His tackling also has gotten a lot better. That's something I wanted to talk about too. This was a guy that early on in his career struggled when it came to routes, took bad angles, missed a lot of tackles, overran guys a lot, got beat a lot in the open field. he's been somebody that I feel like has gotten a lot better, especially when it comes to some of the open field tackling. Something that the Jets safeties as a whole over the last couple of years have struggled with, but started to show some progress last year. I thought Tony Adams did a decent job open field tackling, could still use some improvement, but Ashtyn Davis, of course, Chuck Clark is a huge piece to have. He's one of the better tackling safeties in the NFL when he's healthy. He's one of the better tacklers, period, in the NFL when he's healthy, which, of course, the Jets will add him to the repertoire again this season. So I'm happy for Ashtyn Davis. You know, this is a guy that all hope kind of seemed lost. It kind of felt like not a wasted draft pick, but a questionable draft pick after 2 seasons, 3 seasons, because it wasn't like you spent a first round pick on this guy. It was a 3rd round pick, 68th overall. It was, day 2 selection, but for him to just turn into a special teams guy, it was a little concerning. And he goes out there last year in a depth role and steps up and had a knack for the football. And you can always use guys on a team like that. Not going to play every snap, not going to start, but a depth guy that can can get the football, whether it's an interception, whether it's jumping on the ball, whether it's punching out a fumble. I mean, that is huge, where you need a momentum swing. Ashtyn Davis can give it to you. It was all around the ball. It was a ball magnet last year. And that's something, too, like I said, that this Jets defense can really, really use. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Ashtyn Davis can do this season, again, as depth at that safety position behind Chuck Clark, behind Tony Adams, a guy that has really kind of taken off and signed the 1-year contract. Will enter his 5th season with the team. We'll see what happens after this season, but another year of Ashtyn Davis, which if I would have told you that 2 years ago, that would have not have sounded like a good thing, but it feels like a good thing now after what he was able to do last season. He's got a knack for the football. If you have a knack for the football in the NFL, if you can turn the football over in the NFL from a defensive perspective, you're going to make a living. And Ashtyn Davis has done that so far. So that's your New York Jets 2024 player previews, episode number 10. Alijah Vera-Tucker, right guard, and Ashtyn Davis, safety. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below of both of these guys, AVT and Ashtyn Davis, your expectations for both these guys entering the 2024 campaign. We'll have another player preview up on Wednesday morning, so stay tuned for that, plus a ton of other content. And until then, JETS, 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 Jets.